Do you ever feel like a stranger in your own life, bound by rules you never agreed to? That feeling of being an actor on a stage, speaking lines you didn't write, for a story whose ending you don't know. It is not an accident. It is an echo. A deep and quiet whisper from a part of you that remembers something more. A time before the noise of this world began. Many of us walk through our days feeling the weight of invisible threads, pulling us towards certain people, certain struggles, and certain pains, without ever understanding who the weaver is. This is the quiet ache of a soul that senses a deeper script, a forgotten promise made long ago. In our time together today, we will explore one of the oldest and most profound ideas known to humanity, the concept of soul contracts. We will not speak of this as a simple theory, but as a living memory held within you. We will journey to the quiet space before birth to understand why your soul may have chosen this specific life, with its unique family, its particular challenges, and its precise opportunities for growth. This is not about fate. It is about a sacred agreement you made with yourself, for yourself. If this feeling is familiar to you, if these words stir something within, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. This space is not for debate, but for recognition. A place where we can speak of the things our modern world has often dismissed. And if you wish to continue these conversations, consider subscribing to our vault. We are here to remember together. The philosopher Plato, in his ancient work, The Republic, told a story known as the myth of air. In it, he described how souls, between their lives, were brought to a place where they could look upon all the possible futures, all the different lives they could lead, lives of kings and commoners, artists and warriors. And there, each soul, with full awareness, chose its next journey. Plato explained that this choice was not a reward or a punishment. It was a conscious decision made by the soul to experience the exact circumstances it needed in order to learn the lessons it came here to learn. The soul chose its parents, its body, and its destiny, all for the sake of its own evolution. Now, let us move beyond the ancient words and into the heart of this understanding. Let's explore what these contracts truly are, and how they shape the life you are living right now. So, we arrive at the great question: if we did choose this life, where did we make this choice? And who were we when we made it? To understand the origin of a soul contract, you must first let go of the world you know. Let go of walls and clocks and calendars. Let go of the ground beneath your feet and the air in your lungs. The ancient traditions do not speak of a physical place. They speak of a state of being, a realm of pure consciousness, often called the space between lives. Imagine for a moment what it is to exist without a body. There is no weight, no hunger, no tiredness. There is no time as you know it, no past rushing to catch up to you, no future pulling you forward. There is only the eternal now. Everything that has ever been, and everything that could ever be, exists as a single accessible thought. A library of pure potential where every book is open at once. In this state, you are not the person you see in the mirror. The name your parents gave you does not exist here. Your job, your accomplishments, your failures, they are gone. The personality you have built, the defenses you have learned, the fears you carry, they fall away. They are the costume, and you have returned to the dressing room. So who are you? You are the truth of you, the core, the eternal spark of awareness that has animated every life you have ever lived. You are pure consciousness, pure energy, and in this state you have perfect clarity. You are not clouded by the human brain's need to survive, or the human heart's fear of being broken. You are whole, complete, and you remember everything, not just the memories of this current life, but the memories of all of them. This is the first step before any choice can be made. The Great Review. It is said that upon returning to this realm of light, your soul undertakes a gentle, compassionate review of the life it has just completed. This is the part that our human minds often misunderstand. We imagine a courtroom, a judge on a throne, with a list of our sins and our good deeds. We imagine being weighed and measured and found wanting. This is a human fear. It is not the reality of the soul. The Great Review is not a judgment. There is no one to judge you except yourself. And in this state, your higher self is incapable of condemnation. It is capable only of love and understanding. Imagine sitting in a room of pure light, and the entire tapestry of your life is laid out before you. Not as a flat story, but as a vibrant, energetic web. You see every moment. You feel every feeling. But you do not just relive your own experiences. You feel the impact of your every word, your every action, on everyone you ever met. You feel the ripple of kindness you gave to a stranger, and you understand how it changed the course of their day, and perhaps their life. You feel the pain caused by a harsh word spoken in anger, not from your perspective, but from the heart of the person who received it. You understand why they felt that pain. You understand the history they carried that made them vulnerable to that specific wound. There is no shame here. There is only understanding. You see the moments you felt most alone, most broken. And from this higher perspective, you see the helpers that were there, unseen. You see the moments of grace you missed. You see the opportunities for love you were too afraid to take. And you see your greatest triumphs, not the ones the world celebrated, but the quiet ones. The moment you chose forgiveness over bitterness. The day you found the courage to speak your truth, even when your voice shook. The time you chose compassion for yourself, when everything in you wanted to fall into self-criticism. This review is not about a score. It is not a test you pass or fail. It is an education. It is a process of pure understanding, where you see with perfect clarity the laws of cause and effect. Not as a system of reward and punishment, but as a sacred, universal law of energy. An action of a certain vibration creates a result of a similar vibration. That is all. You see the lessons you came into that life to learn. Perhaps you intended to master patience, and you see how many times you were given the perfect opportunity to practice it. Perhaps you came to learn self-worth, and you see the long line of experiences that were designed to challenge you to finally claim it. And you see what was left unfinished, the threads of connection that were left frayed, the lessons that were presented but not fully integrated, the deep, core desires of your soul that were not yet fulfilled. And it is from this place of perfect love, perfect memory, and perfect understanding that the next choice is made. You do not make this choice alone. It is said that we are supported in this process by beings of immense light and wisdom. Some traditions call them guides, or elders, or a council of light. Again, do not imagine a tribunal. Imagine the most loving, wise, and compassionate grandparents you could ever conceive of. Beings who have watched over your soul's entire journey, who know you better than you know yourself, and who hold only unconditional love for you. Their purpose is not to command you. They do not assign you a life. The law of free will is absolute, and it is the highest law of the soul. You are the one who chooses, always. Their role is to offer perspective. They help you understand the tapestry of your past. They might say, "Do you see this recurring pattern of betrayal across your last 3 lifetimes? Do you see how it stems from a deep belief that you are not worthy of loyalty? Perhaps this is something you are ready to heal now, once and for all." Or they might say, "Your soul has achieved a great mastery of intellect, but it has yet to truly master the wisdom of the heart. Look at these potential lives. Which of these offers the most fertile ground for compassion to grow? They are counselors, advisors, a loving family of light, helping you make the most loving choice for your own evolution. And then you are shown the possibilities. This is perhaps the most difficult part for a human mind to grasp. You do not watch potential lives on a screen like a movie. You are presented with energetic signatures. You feel the essence of a potential life. You might be shown a life of a musician. You would feel the potential for sublime creativity, the joy of connecting with thousands of souls through sound. But you would also feel the accompanying challenges, the struggle for recognition, the lonely nights on the road, the temptation of ego, the deep sensitivity that allows for great art but also makes worldly pain almost unbearable. You might be shown a life of a simple farmer. You would feel the deep connection to the earth, the peace of the rising sun, the quiet satisfaction of providing for a family. But you would also feel the potential challenges, the anxiety of a drought, the physical hardship, the life of isolation, a feeling that a part of your potential was left unexplored. You are shown the main themes, the major movements of the symphony, the key people who will agree to play a role in your story, and you in theirs. These are the members of your soul group, souls you have traveled with for eons, playing every conceivable role for each other. Parent, child, lover, enemy, teacher, student. You recognize them instantly. An agreement is made. In this next life, one soul might say to you, "I will be your mother. I will be distant and critical," to give your soul the opportunity to find its own validation from within, instead of seeking it externally. It will be difficult, but I do this for you out of the deepest love. And you, in your state of perfect clarity, would agree, knowing the gift that was being offered. And this brings us to the very heart of the matter, the question that echoes in every human heart that has ever suffered. Why choose hardship? From our earthly perspective, it makes no sense. Why would anyone choose pain? Why choose loss, sickness, poverty, or loneliness? From the limited view of the human ego, this is madness. It sounds like a cruel theology, an excuse for suffering. But from the soul's perspective, The perspective of pure love and timeless wisdom, the logic is completely different. The soul does not seek comfort. It seeks growth. The soul does not seek ease. It seeks expansion. The soul does not seek happiness as its primary goal. It seeks wisdom. And wisdom, true wisdom, is almost always forged in the fires of adversity. Think of it this way. A muscle cannot grow stronger unless it is met with resistance. A diamond cannot be formed without immense pressure. A soul cannot learn the true nature of forgiveness unless it has something to forgive. So let's look at some of the reasons a soul would make what appears to us to be a difficult choice. One reason is balance. The universe is always seeking harmony. This is not about punishment. The word karma has been so misunderstood. It is not an eye for an eye. It is simply a law of energetic balancing. If in one life, a soul wielded great power and misused it to dominate others, it might choose a subsequent life of powerlessness. Not to be punished, but to understand. To feel, from the other side, the experience of being oppressed. The goal is empathy. The goal is the integration of the lesson, so that the soul understands power from all perspectives and can one day wield it with true wisdom and compassion. The soul that was a king chooses to be a beggar, not out of guilt, but out of a deep desire for wholeness. Another powerful reason is to master a specific quality. Imagine a soul that wants to truly, deeply embody unconditional love. It might choose a life where it is born into a family that is difficult to love. It might choose to have a child with severe disabilities, who requires endless patience and sacrifice. It might choose to be betrayed by a partner. Why? Because it is easy to love that which is easy. It is easy to love the beautiful and the kind. But to love the broken, the difficult, the unlovable, that is to touch the divine. The challenge is the curriculum. The difficulty is the point. The soul chooses the difficult path because it offers the most potent opportunity to master the very virtue it came to learn. Look at your own life. What is your greatest, most recurring challenge? Is it patience? Is it self-worth? Is it forgiveness? Now, just for a moment, consider the possibility that this very challenge is your soul's chosen thesis, your doctoral program. The one thing you, in your highest wisdom, decided was the most important thing to learn this time around. It changes the perspective entirely, doesn't it? The struggle is no longer a curse. It is the curriculum you wrote for yourself. A third reason, and one of the most beautiful, is service. Sometimes, a soul chooses a difficult life not primarily for its own learning, but to serve the learning of another or of many. A soul might agree to come into a life and be the antagonist, the villain in someone else's story, to provide the catalyst that soul needs to find its own strength. This is an act of immense love. To agree to be misunderstood, to be hated on the earthly plane, so that another soul you love can have the experience it needs to grow. Souls also incarnate in difficult circumstances to serve the collective. A soul might choose to be born into a place of deep poverty and injustice, not as a victim, but as a light. To incarnate with a specific illness to bring awareness to it, and to teach humanity about resilience and compassion. These are souls who carry a heavy burden, but their light shines all the brighter for it. They are volunteers, taking on a difficult assignment for the good of the whole. And then there is the logic of contrast. How can you truly know light if you have never experienced shadow? A soul might choose a life of profound loneliness to truly, deeply understand and appreciate the sacredness of connection in a future experience. It might choose a life of sickness to fully value the gift of a healthy body. We on Earth try to avoid the dark, the quiet, the empty spaces. The soul knows that these are the very places where the seeds of wisdom are planted. The emptiness creates the space for fullness to be born. The silence allows the song to be heard. So you see, from this higher view, nothing is random. The family you were born into, the perfect energetic starting point for the lessons you chose, the body you inhabit with its strengths and its limitations, the ideal vehicle for the journey you designed, your greatest heartbreaks and your deepest sorrows, the most potent love-filled assignments from your own higher self. This is the essence of the soul contract. It is the moment when, after this loving review, with the guidance of your elders and with a full understanding of the energetic possibilities, you make your choice. You choose the overarching themes. You choose the soul group you will interact with. You choose the major challenges that will serve as your curriculum. You look upon a potential life of struggle, challenge, and immense difficulty, and from your place of timeless wisdom, you say, yes, that one. That is where I can learn the most. That is where I can love the most. That is where I can grow the most. I choose that. It is a choice made not from fear or resignation, but from courage and an infinite love for your own becoming. The contract is not a rigid script. It is more like a flight plan. You know your destination, the lessons you intend to learn. You know your major waypoints, the key people and events. But once the plane takes off, once you are born and the veil of forgetting descends, you have free will. You are the pilot. You can fly into storms. You can take scenic detours. You can try to turn back. You can even crash. The contract does not eliminate your freedom. It is the framework within which your freedom operates. The major opportunities for the lessons will appear, as promised. But whether you take them or not, that is always up to you. So, the choice is made. The promise is given. The soul, in its full light and wisdom, agrees to the journey, and then you are born. And with the first breath of earthly air, a soft curtain descends. It is known in many traditions as the veil of forgetting. The memory of the space between lives fades. The conscious knowledge of the contracts you made is tucked away, deep within you. The voices of your guides become faint whispers, and the grand cosmic perspective you once held is replaced by the small, intense, and immediate reality of being human. The first question any thinking mind asks is, why? Why this amnesia? If we chose our lessons, wouldn't it be easier if we remembered them? Wouldn't it save us so much pain if we knew the point of our suffering? It seems like a design flaw, a cruelty. But like so much in the universe, what appears to be a cruelty from our limited view is, in fact, an act of profound compassion. Imagine if you did remember everything. Imagine if you knew with certainty that the person you were falling in love with was contracted to break your heart in 5 years to teach you resilience. Could you love them authentically? Could you allow yourself the genuine joy, the vulnerability, the beautiful, messy reality of that love? Or would you be watching the calendar, bracing for impact? The lesson would be contaminated. The experience would be hollow. Imagine knowing that your child was contracted to struggle with a terrible illness. Would you not be tempted to interfere? To live in a state of constant, suffocating fear that prevents the genuine moments of grace and connection that are also part of that contract. The forgetting is not a punishment. It is a mercy. It allows the game to be real. It allows the stakes to feel high. It allows for genuine courage. Because courage cannot exist without genuine fear. It allows for genuine discovery. Because you cannot discover a path you can already see from end to end. The purpose of life is not to pass a test you've already seen the answers to. The purpose is to live the questions, to immerse yourself so fully in the human experience that you find the answers not with your mind, but with the wisdom of your entire being. The veil of forgetting ensures that you are a true participant, not just an observer waiting for the next contractual plot point. But to forget with the mind is not to lose the knowledge entirely. The knowledge is not gone. It has simply sunk deeper. It has moved from your conscious mind into the deep, quiet knowing of your soul. And from that place it speaks to you, not in words, but in feelings, in echoes. This is the source of your intuition, that quiet gut feeling that tells you to trust someone or to walk away. That inexplicable pull towards a certain city, a certain book, a certain person. That feeling of déjà vu when a moment feels so profoundly familiar that it shakes you. A momentary glitch in the veil. A whisper of a memory that this too was planned. That deep, quiet sense you have sometimes, looking at your life, that despite the chaos and the confusion, you are exactly where you are supposed to be. That is the soul, recognizing the landscape it chose. Your contract is not a hidden document locked in a celestial vault. Your contract is your life story, right now as it is the sacred text. You are living it. You are breathing it. And the key to understanding your soul's purpose is to learn how to read the life you are already in. So let us learn to read. Let us look at the key elements of your life, not as random circumstance, but as carefully written chapters of your sacred agreement. Let us begin with the first chapter, the family contract. No soul is born into a family by accident, ever. The people who raise you, your mother, your father, your siblings, are not random souls. They are almost always primary members of your closest soul group. They are the brave souls who agreed to play the most critical and often the most difficult roles in your story. They are there to provide you with your foundational lessons. Think of the parent you had. Perhaps you had a parent who was critical, who could never be pleased. From a human view, this is a source of deep pain, a wound of never feeling good enough. But from the soul's perspective, this is a contractual arrangement. This soul, who loves you deeply on a higher plane, agreed to play this role so that you would be forced to stop seeking validation externally. Their role was to be the unmovable wall that forces you to turn inward and find your own source of self-worth. The lesson was never about pleasing them. The lesson was about learning to please yourself. Perhaps you had a parent who was absent, either physically or emotionally. The wound is one of abandonment, of feeling unseen and unimportant. But the contractual purpose? To teach you radical self-reliance, to teach you how to mother or father yourself, to force you to find your own stability, your own safety, your own presence, because it was not given to you externally. It is a difficult path, but it forges a soul of incredible strength and resilience. Perhaps you were born into a family of chaos and conflict. The wound is a feeling of never being safe, of always walking on eggshells. The soul's purpose? To become a peacemaker, to learn how to hold a calm center in the middle of a storm, to learn boundaries, to learn what a healthy connection feels like by its very absence, so that you may then go on to create it for yourself and for others. Your family provides the energetic soil in which you are planted. They introduce you to your core themes. Look at the deepest wound your childhood gave you. And now, gently, lovingly, ask the question, what strength was I meant to build in response to that wound? What wisdom is on the other side of that pain? The wound is not the point. The healing is. The contract is not about the pain. It is about the strength you were meant to find by moving through the pain. Your family, in their perfection and their imperfection, gave you the precise set of challenges your soul chose as its starting point. Next, let us read the chapter of the body contract. Your body is not a random vehicle. Its strengths, its weaknesses, its appearance, its health, it is all part of the agreement. A soul might choose a body of great physical beauty. The lesson might be to learn to move beyond vanity, to learn to be valued for what is within, not just what is on the surface. A soul might choose a body that is considered unconventional or plain by society's standards. The lesson might be to cultivate a deep and unshakable inner beauty, a charisma and light that has nothing to do with physical form. And what of illness? What of the body that is frail or lives with chronic pain? This is one of the most difficult parts of the contract to accept from a human perspective. We see sickness as an enemy, a failure of the body. From the soul's perspective, it can be a profound and powerful tool. A soul that has been aggressive, restless, and overly ambitious in many past lives might choose a life with a chronic illness to learn stillness, to learn patience, to force it to turn away from external doing and turn towards internal being. The body becomes an anchor, preventing the soul from repeating old patterns and forcing it to learn a new way. A soul might choose to experience a specific disease to develop immense compassion and empathy, not only for itself, but for all others who suffer. It becomes a teacher, a healer, not by what it does, but by what it is. Its journey through illness becomes a beacon for others. Your body tells a story. What story does yours tell? What has it forced you to learn? What has it enabled you to do? What lessons in patience, self-love, acceptance, or resilience has it brought you? Your body is not your prison. It is your most intimate and constant teacher, perfectly designed for the curriculum you came here to study. Now, let's look at the most dynamic chapters. The contracts in relationships. Every significant person who enters your life does so by agreement. Friends, lovers, rivals, and even enemies. They are the supporting cast, arriving on cue to help you with your lessons. Think of the great loves of your life. These are souls you have likely loved in many lifetimes, in many forms. They come to remind you of joy, of connection, of what it feels like to be seen. But they also come to challenge you, the partner who breaks your heart, who leaves you feeling shattered. What is the contract? From a higher level, that soul agreed to perform a painful service. Their departure creates a void, and in that void, you are forced to find the love for yourself that you may have outsourced to them. Their leaving is a sacred act that pushes you back home, to yourself. The contract wasn't, "We will be happy forever." The contract was, "I will love you enough to leave you, so you can learn to love yourself." And what of the enemy? The rival at work? The person who seems to embody everything you dislike? These are often beloved members of your soul group in disguise. They have agreed to wear a mask and play a difficult role. Their purpose is to be a mirror. They trigger you because they are showing you a part of yourself that you have disowned or repressed. Your own ambition, your own anger, your own shadow. The contract is to help you see yourself more clearly, to integrate your shadow, and to become whole. When you feel an intense, irrational dislike for someone, ask yourself, what part of me are they reflecting that I am not ready to see? Loyal friends, the ones who feel like family, also have a contract. Their role is to be a safe harbor, to be the resting places on the long journey, reminding you of grace, of unconditional acceptance, and giving you the strength to continue with your more difficult lessons. They are a promise from your soul to itself. I will not leave you without comfort. I will send help. Look at the key people in your life, past and present, the loving and the difficult. Instead of seeing them as sources of pleasure or pain, see them as contractual partners. What did they come to teach you? What role did they play in your story? And what role did you agree to play in theirs? This perspective shifts you from blame and resentment into a state of gratitude and profound understanding. And finally, there are the subtle signs, the whispers of the contract in your day-to-day life. Pay attention to what triggers you. When you have a massive emotional reaction to something small, it is a sign. That intense anger, that deep sadness, it's often not about the present moment. It's an energetic alarm. It's your soul saying, pay attention. This is connected to a core lesson. This is a contractual point. The wound you came to heal has just been touched. Do not turn away from your triggers. Follow them down. They are arrows pointing to the work you came here to do. Learn to see the universe's choreography in what we call coincidence. There are no accidents. The book that falls off the shelf and opens to the exact page you need to see. The random conversation with a stranger on a bus that gives you the idea that changes your life. The unexpected job loss that forces you onto a new path that turns out to be your true calling. This is not random chance. This is your soul and your guides gently nudging you. They are rearranging the furniture of your life to keep you aligned with your highest path. When you learn to see these coincidences as loving guidance, your life becomes a magical conversation with the divine. You realize you are never alone. and that you are always being guided back to the path you chose for yourself. This does not mean your life is fated. Remember the flight plan. The contract outlines the major destinations. The lessons will be presented. The key people will show up. But your free will is sacred. You can choose to ignore the trigger. You can choose to remain in bitterness after a heartbreak. You can refuse to learn the lesson of self-worth from the critical parent. You can see the coincidence as just a fluke. If you do, the universe, in its infinite love and patience, will simply offer you the lesson again. It will come in a different form, with a different person, but it will be the same core lesson. Your soul wants to graduate. You will be given as many chances as you need to pass the course you designed for yourself. Your life is not happening to you. It is happening for you. And it was designed by you. Take a moment, breathe, look back on the tapestry of your own life. The pain, the joy, the love, the loss, the family, the body, the relationships. See it not as a chaotic series of accidents, but as a masterpiece of soul-level design. You are reading the most sacred text that exists, and you are also its author, of course. Here is the third extensive part of the main content. This section focuses on how to actively and consciously live in accordance with the understanding of soul contracts, moving from passive experience to active co-creation. The length and tone are designed to continue the deep, meditative journey. We have journeyed to the space between worlds. We have looked upon the sacred logic of a soul choosing its curriculum. We have pulled back the veil of forgetting just enough to learn to read the signs in our own lives, in our families, our bodies, our relationships. And now we arrive at the great turning point, the place where knowledge must become wisdom. It is one thing to understand, intellectually, that your life may be a contract. It is another thing entirely to live that truth, to embody it. This is where the journey moves from the mind into the heart, from theory into practice. This is the moment you decide to stop being a passive passenger in your own life and become the co-pilot, sitting right beside your soul. The first and most powerful shift is one of identity. It is the conscious decision to move from victim to co-creator. The victim consciousness is the default setting for the human ego. It is the voice that says, "Look what happened to me. Look what they did to me. My life is hard because of my parents, my boss, my illness, my luck." This voice is not wrong about the facts of the pain, but it is blind to the purpose. It sees only the painful chapter, not the sacred story it belongs to. To live in this state is to be a boat without a rudder, tossed about by the waves of circumstance, feeling powerless and resentful. The co-creator consciousness is the perspective of the soul. It looks upon the very same set of facts and asks a different question. It does not deny the pain. It honors it, but it holds it within a larger context. It says, "This is happening for me. This experience, this person, this challenge, this is the curriculum I chose. This is my opportunity for growth. I am not a victim of my story. I am the hero who is learning to navigate it." This shift does not magically remove the challenges. What it does is infinitely more powerful. It changes your relationship to the challenges. The weight of the burden doesn't change, but you suddenly realize you have the strength to carry it. The storm does not cease, but you remember that you know how to fly the plane. This is the single most important decision you can make. Every day, every moment you are faced with a difficulty, you have this choice. Am I a victim of this, or am I a student of this? Your answer determines everything. Once you have made this choice, the first great practice is that of radical acceptance. These two words are profoundly misunderstood. Acceptance is not resignation. It is not saying, I like this pain or I approve of this injustice. It does not mean you should stay in a harmful situation or that you shouldn't strive to make things better. Radical acceptance is simply the cessation of war with reality. It is looking at what is, the difficult diagnosis, the ended relationship, the financial struggle, and saying, this is what is here now. You stop wasting your precious life energy on fighting what has already happened or what is already present. Resistance is the source of so much of our suffering. The soul contract presents a lesson, a locked door. The pain of the situation is the door itself, but the suffering, the true anguish, comes from ramming our shoulder against the door again and again, screaming, I don't want this door to be here. Acceptance is to stop ramming the door. It is to take a breath, look at the door, and realize it has a keyhole. It is to understand that this obstacle, this situation you have been fighting, is not here to block you. It is here to be opened, to be moved through. The lesson is the key. When you radically accept a situation, you pull your energy back from the useless fight against reality. And all that energy becomes available to you for the real work, asking the right questions and finding the key. Which leads us to the next practice. You must learn to cultivate a dialogue with your soul. Your soul is always speaking to you. The part of you that remembers the contract is always whispering guidance. But the ego mind, with its fears, its plans, its endless chatter, is shouting. We have been trained to listen to the loudest voice. We must now retrain ourselves to listen to the quietest one. How do you do this? You must intentionally create silence. The soul's language is not spoken in the marketplace or the boardroom. It is spoken in the stillness. This is the purpose of meditation, of quiet walks in the woods, of sitting by the ocean, of journaling not to recount the events of the day, but to ask the deep questions and listen for the answers that rise from within. Find your silence, whatever it is, and in that silence, begin to ask better questions. A victim asks, "Why me? Why is this happening to me?" It is a question that leads only to despair, because it assumes you are a target of random, cruel fate. A co-creator, a student of their own contract, asks entirely different questions. When faced with a challenge, instead of "Why me?" ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" This question assumes purpose. It assumes there is a gift hidden inside the painful packaging. It shifts you from passive suffering to active learning. When dealing with a difficult person, instead of "Why are they so awful?" ask, "What quality is this situation asking me to develop in myself?" Is it patience? Is it boundaries? Is it compassion? Is it the courage to speak my truth? This question brings the focus back to the only thing you can control: your own growth. The other person is just the sparring partner your soul chose to help you build a new spiritual muscle. When you feel lost or confused about your path, instead of "what should I do?" ask, "who am I being asked to become?" Life is less about what we do and more about who we are becoming. Are you being asked to become more courageous, more loving, more authentic, more trusting? If you focus on embodying that quality, the what to do often becomes clear as a natural next step. These questions are the keys to the locked doors. To ask them sincerely, in the quiet space you have created, is to begin a direct conversation with the part of you that designed the curriculum. The answers may not come like a lightning bolt. They may come as a quiet feeling, a new idea, a coincidental encounter the next day. But if you ask and you listen, the guidance will come. As you get better at reading your own contract, you will be invited into a more advanced practice, honoring the contract in others. This is where your compassion becomes boundless. When you truly understand that every single person is a soul on a journey, living out a sacred contract they chose for their own growth, judgment begins to dissolve. The person who cuts you off in traffic, instead of anger, a flicker of curiosity. What lesson of patience are they teaching me? What lesson of hurry and stress are they living out for themselves? The family member who is struggling with addiction, who causes chaos and pain. The human reaction is anger, frustration, and resentment. The soul's perspective sees a brave soul who has taken on one of the most difficult curriculums imaginable. To learn about powerlessness, surrender, or the deep need for self-love. Your role in their contract may be to learn about boundaries, detachment, or unconditional love. Seeing it this way does not excuse harmful behavior, but it replaces simple condemnation with a deep, aching compassion. You can protect yourself while still honoring their journey. Look at the world stage. The conflicts, the injustices, the leaders you despise. Can you, for just a moment, look through the eyes of the soul and see the grand, epic play of lessons being learned? Lessons about power, about empathy, about the consequences of separation, about the deep yearning for unity. It does not mean you become passive. It means your action comes not from hatred and reaction, but from a deep, centered place of wanting to contribute to the healing, to the learning. To honor the contract in others is to release them from the prison of your judgment. And in doing so, you free yourself. You begin to see the world not as a battleground of good versus evil, but as a grand classroom where every soul is doing the best it can with the curriculum it chose. So how do you know when a lesson is learned? How do you know when a part of the contract is complete? The sign is simple. The emotional trigger is gone. Think of a person or a memory from your past that used to cause you immense pain or anger. If you can now think of that person or event with neutrality, or perhaps even with a quiet gratitude for what it taught you, you have completed that contract. You have graduated, the lesson has been integrated. When you have truly learned the lesson of self-worth, the critical comments of others no longer land with the same sting. When you have truly mastered forgiveness, the memory of the betrayal no longer holds power over you, and the universe, which is infinitely efficient, will stop sending you that specific test. You will find that you no longer attract the same kind of difficult partner or the same kind of demanding boss. You have passed the course, and you are now free to move on to the next part of the curriculum. This is the great reward for doing the inner work. Freedom. This leads to a fascinating question. Can you amend or renegotiate your contract? From the soul's perspective, the core lessons you chose are the destination. That flight plan is largely set. If you came here to master forgiveness, you will be given opportunities to forgive. However, your free will, your consciousness, can absolutely change the journey. It can change the timeline and the level of suffering you experience along the way. Imagine a lesson can be learned through two paths: the path of suffering or the path of grace. The path of suffering is when we resist, we blame, we refuse to learn. The universe then has to send us bigger and bigger challenges, louder wake-up calls, until we finally pay attention. This is the path of learning through crisis. The path of grace is the one we choose when we become conscious co-creators. We see the lesson in its early, gentler forms. We practice radical acceptance. We ask the better questions. We do the work consciously and willingly. By doing so, we learn the lesson with much less pain and drama. We accelerate our own curriculum. You can, in essence, renegotiate your experience by choosing to be an A+ student. By showing your soul and the universe, I am awake, I am willing, I understand. I am ready to learn this with love and awareness, rather than with pain and resistance. When you bring this level of consciousness to your life, you will find that the journey becomes smoother. The challenges are still there, but you meet them with a wisdom that transforms them from terrifying monsters into respected teachers. Ultimately, what is the point of all this? The contracts, the lessons, the struggles, the growth. The ultimate goal is integration and wholeness. You did not come here just to tick off a list of lessons. You came here to become whole. Before you were born, in that realm of pure light, you were whole. But it was a theoretical wholeness, an untested wisdom. You chose to come to Earth, this realm of duality, of light and shadow, to forget your wholeness, so that you could find it again, so you could earn it, so you could embody it. Every contract, every lesson, is designed to help you reclaim a piece of yourself that you have forgotten or disowned. The lesson of forgiveness helps you reclaim your compassionate heart. The lesson of boundaries helps you reclaim your sovereignty. The lesson of speaking your truth helps you reclaim your authentic voice. The lesson of facing your shadow helps you reclaim your power. Your life is a sacred journey of gathering all the lost pieces of yourself and bringing them home to your own heart. The goal is to stand in this world, in this body, with all its beautiful imperfections, and to feel the same unconditional love and profound wisdom that your soul felt when it chose this life. The goal is to bring the light of that space between lives here into this reality. To close the gap between your human self and your divine self until there is no separation at all. You are the project. You are the masterpiece, slowly being revealed from the raw stone of experience. The contract is simply the artist's plan, the divine blueprint you designed for your own magnificent becoming. We have traveled far together today, from the realm of pure potential to the very heart of your human experience. We have explored the sacred logic of the soul, the compassionate purpose of the veil of forgetting, and the way your life itself serves as the living text of your chosen contract. So, where does this leave us? There is no magic word that will suddenly erase your challenges or answer all your questions. The value of this knowledge is not in creating a life free of difficulty, but in transforming your relationship with the difficulties you have. It offers a new way to stand in your own life. The invitation, then, is not to attempt some great, impossible feat. It is to begin with a small, quiet shift. The next time you are faced with a moment of pain or frustration, see if you can change the question you ask yourself. Instead of the tired, powerless question, "Why is this happening to me?" Take a breath and gently ask, "What is the lesson that is being offered here? What part of myself is this asking me to heal?" This simple shift is the beginning of moving from victim to co-creator. And perhaps, find one person or one memory that holds a great deal of pain for you. Just for a moment, in the privacy of your own heart, try to look at them through this lens. See them not as the villain of your story, but as a brave soul partner who agreed to play a difficult role for your growth. You don't have to condone their actions. You only have to try to see the contract beneath the conflict. In that moment of seeing, a small seed of freedom is planted. Ultimately, this journey is about moving an idea from your head into your heart. To know that you chose your life is one thing. It is like reading a map. To feel it, to remember it in your bones, is to walk the territory. That feeling comes in quiet moments, a sense of deep peace amidst chaos, a surge of compassion for yourself, a sudden gratitude for a difficult lesson. That is the feeling of your soul agreeing with your life. The real transformation lies not in knowing, but in remembering this truth in a way that makes you kinder and more patient with yourself. As our time together comes to a close, I want to leave you with this. You are not alone in your quiet questioning, nor are you alone in your struggles. The ache you feel, the sense that there is a deeper meaning to your life, is the echo of your soul's own truth. It is a sign that you are awakening. Your inner truth is valid. Your pain has not been for nothing. Every tear, every challenge, every moment of despair has been a part of this sacred curriculum. It has all been sacred ground. And even if your path feels overwhelmingly difficult right now, especially if it feels that way, know that this too is part of the journey. You are in the heart of a lesson your soul knew you had the strength to master. The courage you possess is far greater than your memory of it. When you leave this space and return to the noise of your world, what will your soul whisper to you in the moments of silence?